Hey guys, it's Jim, and it is time for another YouTube Pagan Challenge. It's week 9, and this week's challenge is do you keep like a journal or a book of shadows, etc., to kind of chronicle your experiences? And the answer for me is yes. I think the answer is probably yes for most people. Um, I don't know why you wouldn't, especially since we're kind of told to. Um, But yes, I do. Writing is something that I've always loved. I love making up stories, and I also just love writing down the stories from real life too. I just love writing. I think it's extremely fun and wonderful. And there are great books out there um, on discovering yourself through writing. They're really great. So yeah, I do. I have kept a journal or a book of shadows or whatever you want to call it. I don't really have a set term for my book that I write in, my spiritual stuff. Um, I know there's tons of terms. There's Book of Shadows, Book of Light, Book of Mirrors, the Book of Chaos, Grimoires, diaries, journals. Oh my god, there's so many terms. And they all mean different things, but they're really all essentially the same thing to me. But I just haven't found a term that really sets with me yet. Um, I just haven't. Um, I don't keep separate journals for separate parts of my practice. I just lump it all together in one book, and I don't organize it. I guess it's kind of a book of chaos. Um, and I don't organize it. It's just kind of like a journal or a diary. It's just each day or each whenever I enter that entry, and whatever it is, it is. If it's a spell, if it's just a journal entry, if it's a correspondence, it doesn't matter. I don't keep it organized. I just chronicle it and date it every time I enter something. So it's very much like a normal journal, I guess, or a diary that just happens to be spiritual related. But yeah, I've kept one ever since I was around 13, 12 or 13, when I really got into paganism and wanted to start researching it. Because I read about Book of Shadows, this concept of the Book of Shadows, and I thought, oh, I should get one of those. I should have one. So I still have it. I just had a simple composition notebook that I, of course, personalized. Little teenage self did. I like put this is tape, and then I colored it green with a crayon, and I put some duct tape on it because it's damn near falling apart. But what did I write on it? I put my Book of Shadows, how appropriate, and some symbols that at the time meant a lot to me. And actually, that is a drop of my blood, um, right there. But yeah, I even accidentally burned a piece of it off, and it's been through a lot. Um, but I just wrote, I just wrote entries. Like my first entry in this is from June 13th, 2005. So actually, this one is not from when I first started because I would have been almost done with high school by this point. So the one from when I was 13 up to about this point is probably the one that I lost because I did lose. Actually, I lost two spiritual journals um, because of my upbringing and because of ridiculousness. Ridiculousness. So unfortunately, I don't have those to look back on, but I do have this one. This is the oldest one I have. So this is from when I was around uh, 16. 16, yeah. 17, 16, 17. So yeah, see there it is, June 13th, 2005. And yeah, I wrote about everything. I chronicled everything I could, um, dreams, everything, spells, all sorts of things. And later on, when things went really south for me at home, and I had to start seeing therapists and things like that because of several reasons. This is one of the journals that I'm surprised I still have it. That was given to my therapist, and so I have all of my therapist's markings in this actually still. Like, see these asterisks here, and all these underlines. Those aren't from me. That's from my therapist, who is marking areas. Like they marked all these spells he put asterisks beside every spell that I wrote, because there were areas of concern that we needed to discuss. He would even like put lines down the side of the page, like, well, guess we got to talk about this whole page. But so that's interesting to look back on, especially now since I've let go of the pain that was involved in this. But see all these pen markings that are different from the pencil. I always wrote in a pencil, and this all these ink pen markings that are like blue. Those are my therapist from many years ago. But yeah, so I've always kept one, and I just write everything in it. I have had that one. I had this, which by this point, after I filled this up and had it taken away and then kind of stole it back, which is why I still have it, I moved on. This is after high school now, because this was very much my whole high school experience. Well, part of it, since the beginning of it was almost my senior year. So this is the latter part of my high school experience. And then this I kept right after school. And by then I was really trying to individualize myself in my practice. So again, I went from calling it a Book of Shadows to this is overly complicated, a Neo-Ether grimoire, because I just wanted to be that different and special. I was very angsty and hung out in a lot of like gothic circles. So this is actually a whole year after I graduated high school, actually, if I look at the first entry. It's July 20th, 2008. And I just wrote about everything. I wrote about like chakras and auras, colors and charms and talismans, and how to make a talisman and an amulet, and shielding yourself, self-initiation. That's interesting. Yeah. Wow. Okay, see, I haven't looked through this one in a long time. So I'm starting to see these things that are catching my eye. I'm like, oh my goodness. I actually have my very first dedication I ever did that I've talked about before in previous videos, where I got really serious about the path. I did this really long ass self-initiation. This is what I said. I wrote it out myself. I said all of this out loud. And there's more besides those 2 pages. There's one more page. So after I said this long ass monologue, I ended it with, henceforth I am, and I had said my name at the time that I was using, and blah, 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 with kinship and love, I dedicate myself to you, the earth, the universe, blah, blah, blah. But, so yeah, I've always kept them, and, always kept them. And as I've gone on, there's so many, you guys. As I've gone on, I've done more than just draw. I've done more than just write in them. I've drew and have put like images of how I see deities. Like there's, what is that? Who is that? Gwydion and Ogma, which are Celtic deities. That was the way I'm not an artist at all, by the way, so don't judge. But that's how I saw them in a ritual that I did once. This is when I was first getting into Ogum. And yeah, I would draw things and write. I would do like automatic writing a lot, which is where you kind of let spirit take over and you write. So like this is my writing, and then I would go into automatic writing and let my subconscious self or spirits enter my body and write through me, and I would get messages that way. That was wildly beneficial for me. This is my working with a type of elf spirit that I will make a video very soon about elves, because I work with elves a lot. Although I didn't talk about them in my matron and patron video, because they're a whole different entity entirely from that. But yeah, I do little sketches, and I love this. And I write down poems, and I do whatever feels right in the book. I don't worry about keeping it organized, keeping it clean or neat. I just write from the soul, because I think that's what's important. Um, oh man, this is when I first. Oh my god, that's awesome. This is, oh my god. This is when I first started working with Odin. How wonderful. And that's not Odin. This is a kind of suit of armor that I got in a vision. Ugh, memories. But as you can see, I think it's extremely beneficial to keep journals of your experiences. I think it's so important. Because you can look back, see where you've come from, see how you've changed, learn things that maybe you've completely forgotten. You know, I love this. I just love that. Learn things that maybe you have forgotten and things that you've suppressed, or just see how your views have changed, how you've grown, relearn things, maybe change your views back to what they used to be. Be like, you know what, actually I had something there. Yeah, I find it extremely beneficial. And oh look, and you find secrets as you go back and look at them all these years later. Like things that you've put in there, like feathers and flowers and notes. Wow. It's amazing. It's like writing a letter to yourself, you know, or a book that once you write it, you won't read for many years, and you go back and it's like a letter from your past self to your present self, which is your future self. It's awesome. It's awesome. And you know that I don't worry about buying fancy notebooks because I know that they'll go through the ringer. I just buy very simple things. Just simple journals, nothing fancy. I'm not really into the big flashy grimoires and books of shadows that people have. Sometimes I write in crayon. I love writing in crayon actually because it just makes it very personal. It just makes it really personal. I love it. I really love it. Currently, my current journal that I'm using is again just a composition notebook. Because they're so cheap. They're like 25 cents. They're really cheap. And you know, I just put stickers all over it. I cut out a picture from a book and put stuff in it. Like, cut out pictures of this book that was an awful book, but the pictures were gorgeous. And I've been using this one since last year, since January last year. So a little over a year. Sometimes I will do like, see, I just cut out pieces of books and put it in there, like of words, things that I want to remember, things that I think are important or that have touched me in some way. I was going to show you a page that I did recently. Sometimes I'll write affirmations to myself. This is in crayon too. Affirmations to myself and messages to myself about things that I need to be reminded of a lot because I forget. So yeah. You don't have to limit yourself to anything, you know? Don't limit yourself to what you've been told to put in your book of shadows or book of whatevers. And if you're not journaling, I'd encourage you to journal because again, it's because you get stuff like this, you guys. You get to look back at your life. They're falling everywhere. You get to look back at your life and see where you've come from and see where you're going. And there's not much more I could say about it. I'm just rehashing. So you get it. You get it. You're probably already doing it. Keep records of where you've been because they'll help you get to where you're going. That's it, you guys.